Hello, hello. Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Wisdom. My name is Ali J. Taylor. I am the CEO of Wisdom and Wayfinder. Unless you have discovered the secret to everlasting life, you do not have enough time to figure out everything there is about running, growing, and scaling a business on your own. And so every week, I invite an expert to share their wisdom on what it takes to do that. So that you can borrow from their knowledge, their experience to supercharge your own. And today I have with me LeaAnn Fuller. LeaAnn is a prominent figure known for her work as an award winning entrepreneur, virtual bookkeeper, profit strategist, women's empowerment coach, author, and motivational speaker. She is the founder and CEO of Fuller Life LLC, where she works with women in business to help them understand their numbers and achieve success. She is dedicated to empowering women to reach their goals and actively build towards a successful future through her coaching and motivational speaking engagements. LeaAnn, thank you for being here today.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, great, great. It coincidentally, it is Women's History Month, so it kind of just lined up that way. That being that is a big target and focus for you, that you are a guest here today. So I'm glad to be able to have those things kind of align that way.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's always a big month. It's always a really cool month to see some of the because a lot of times like the history of some of the stuff. I was reading saw a post the other day of living life without some of the women's inventions and
Mhm.
one was the toilet paper holder. It was just hilarious to see some of the stuff that women invented that, yeah, I wouldn't want to live without it either.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, there's so I believe it's don't don't beat me up in the comments if I get this wrong, but was it Hedy Lamarr that invented the technology for Wi-Fi? So we
Yeah,
wouldn't be able to do
I'm
this right now.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I think you're right. I can't remember the name, but that was on the list.
Yeah.
Like I said, for some reason, the toilet paper holder stands out for me.
Listen, that is incredibly important. I mean, we have fights about it. Like, does it go over? Does it go under? Uh,
Yeah, right.
Whenever society is like on the bridge of a collapse, the first thing to look forward to is there enough toilet paper? So
Yeah, yeah, right. We're in the middle pandemic, and toilet paper is the thing to worry about.
it truly is. It truly
It
is.
was, it was. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's always really cool to see all this stuff come to light, and it's something to be proud of, right?
Yeah, yeah. So tell me a little bit about your background, your history. Like, what got you into your work as a profit strategist and working with businesses to help them do that, to be able to do that, making profits and improving their cash flow. What inspired you to work on that?
So my background is in accounting. I remember I'll try and keep a long story short, 16 and pregnant in high school. And I was going to school for cosmetology.
Mhm.
And I took an accounting class and and I loved it. Never, I'm not, I was never a huge math person. I was
Yeah.
okay, but I just loved the accounting, right? And so my senior year, it didn't fit in my schedule, so I did it independently, but it just stuck with me. I just loved the accounting. I love the numbers. So that's been my background. Went to school for it, and I've been doing it for not to hate to age myself, but going on 25 years. Oh my God, more than 25 years now. But, I actually left my
That's the
corporate
math
job.
you don't want to do right
Yeah,
now.
don't pay attention to those numbers. We don't care about those numbers, right? So when I left my corporate job, I
Mhm.
was a accounting office manager. And I left to do coaching. And I always said if I ever saw another person's numbers again, it would be
Mhm.
too soon. Right. I was done, burnout, washed out, whatever you want to call it. I was done. So I left there, went into coaching, and started working with women in their business, their lives, that kind of thing. But what I found out is nobody knew their numbers. So you
Yeah.
have people that were in business, they were making some money, but they couldn't tell you how much money they're making. They couldn't tell you where the money was coming from, where it was going. And it just clicked with me that that is such an important piece
Hmm.
that people are missing. So I decided to kind of go back to my roots and get back into the numbers. Did a lot of soul searching in that time frame, and just decided that there's such a need for that. There's a gap because there's a lot of accidental successes out there.
Yeah.
We don't go into business. Nobody goes into business because they like numbers. And I can honestly say that because I didn't go into business because I like numbers, and I love it. I love numbers. I love that part of it, right? Nobody else does. I
No.
didn't. And so you get into business because you like what you do. You love what you do. You're good at it. You have a passion. You can help people, right? But then you start growing your business and you don't think about things like taxes and expenses and profits and losses and
Hmm.
balance sheets and all of that. You don't think about that kind of stuff. So I noticed so many people were getting caught up there. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what to do with the money when they got it. I tell you, so many people, you make them, and honestly, the more money you make, sometimes the worse it is. I've seen a lot of people make a lot of money, but the more money you make, you don't think about it. You're like, oh, I'll do this. Here you go. I'll do
Yeah.
this. Here you go. And then eventually it's like, wait, where did it all go?
Yeah, they're just focusing on filling a bucket that they don't even take the time to look and see if there are holes at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I found. So
Mhm.
now I'm actually in a really unique position that I have my coaching background along with the accounting background. So it really gives me a unique twist to help people in growing their business. So it's actually worked out really well, and here
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, well, glad that you're here, and I'm glad that, you've been working with different businesses to help them get a sense of what their numbers are because, like what I do with the clients that I work with, where we do a comprehensive business assessment to figure out, like, where are you now, and then where are you trying to go, and what's the gap
Yep,
between, that you need to get there. It's like
yep,
if you were to set out um on a road trip and you don't take the time to figure out, well, how much gas do you need, how many miles are you going to go,
right.
where can you fill up.
Yeah,
A lot of people are running their businesses the same way because they're not figuring out what to do with their money and how to plan for it. And like you said, that dirty word taxes. I always, when you were saying that, I was thinking about that meme of the kid who's like crying in a game of Monopoly, and he's just absolutely just destroyed. His soul is just gone, and he's just whining about the taxes. It's like, yeah, kid, that's the reality of life.
uh, what's that saying? The only two things you can count on are death and taxes.
Yeah. In
Here's
New
the thing.
Jersey, you can count on them twice.
But that's the thing. Nobody wants to pay taxes. And
No.
I get that. You don't want to pay, you want to pay as little taxes as possible.
No.
But here's the thing, taxes are a bad thing. But if you're paying taxes, it means you're making money. If
Yes.
it's inevitable, unless you're in that, I don't know, millions and billions of dollars where you can work your way around and do all sorts of things to try and not pay taxes. But it's almost like a health goal. It almost checks the health of your business based
Mhm.
on what you're paying in taxes. And I get it. Nobody wants to pay taxes. I
Yeah.
think the struggle, it's not the paying of the taxes that's the problem. It's the planning
Yeah.
and being prepared to pay the taxes is the problem. Because let's face it, we're in business really to pay taxes, because if you're making money, you're paying taxes. So it's not, nobody likes to pay taxes, nobody wants to pay taxes. It's a dirty word.
Yeah.
When you're in business, you just don't want to. But it drives me crazy. Like, I don't want to pay taxes. Well, unfortunately, you made money and you have to. If you
Yeah.
want to make money, you have to. That's just part of life. It's just a matter of figuring out how to plan for it. And I really like how you're talking about going on that road trip. It's like you need to have that goal in sight. Number one, you're not going to go out on a blind road trip. I mean, you can, but it's going to,
We'll see how far
you
you get.
Yeah, you kind of want to know where you're going, right? You
Mhm.
don't want to start out on a road trip with no money in the bank and no idea where you're going. I have thought about that, but I didn't do it because
Is
to me
that when
that's
you're in the height of
crazy.
tax season and it's
Crazy.
Yeah.
But you gotta have the end goal in mind. You gotta know where you're going and you gotta work it backwards. You gotta reverse engineer it so you can figure out, okay, plan out where you might want to stop for gas and
Mhm.
how long it's going to take to get there. Because I don't know, I've been in this situation before and not a pleasant one where you're driving down the road in the middle of the night and your gas light comes on. It's like, oh crap, where's the next gas station? you don't, you need to plan for stuff. You need to be prepared.
Yeah, well, speaking of planning, I know a lot of people there's the internal fear of just looking at the numbers, right? So how does your coaching background play into getting people, one, to confront their fears of looking at the numbers, but then also just addressing sort of the mental, emotional blocks that come with when you're making money and planning and what to do with it?
I love that. So here's the thing, knowledge is power.
Mhm.
So, really, we need to wrap our minds around that. So, mindset is a huge thing when it comes to being in business because not everybody's meant to be in business. But what you need to figure out, and one of the things I do like to talk about is why are you doing this? What is the purpose behind running your business? Because I can tell you, if you're in business, there is going to be a point where you're going to want to quit. There's going to be a time when you're going to say, what the hell am I doing this for? You're not making any money, maybe, so but why are you doing this? What is the real reason behind it? And that's a good place to start, because on those days when you're going to want to quit, on those days when you're not going to want to look at the numbers, you're not going to want to know where you stand, it's that why that's really going to push you to keep going. So there's that piece of it, is understanding why are you doing this? What is the real reason? Because obviously the first thing that comes back, well, I want to make money. Okay, why do you want to make money?
Yeah.
What are you going to do with this money? So it's peeling back the layers of the onion to figure that what is the true reason. Because if you just want to make money, you can go get a job and probably make it a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I think
If
it
you,
also says something about how much money do you wanna make,
yeah, yep,
you know, and
yep,
that would tie into the why.
yep, yep. And then as far as, I can't tell you, I was running one of the groups I had. She's like, I'm afraid to look. I don't want to know what my numbers are. Okay, and where are you in your business? Yeah, you're right. But knowledge is power. You cannot make informed decisions in your business without the data behind it. And you can't grow in your business if you don't have the data. The numbers are just data, it's just another way to look at your business. We have to take the emotion out of it, because so often we get caught up in that emotion, that fear. So we have to take it out and look at what is the solid data here. What can it tell us and what can we do with it? So it's sometimes it's a matter of just looking at it differently
Mhm.
and showing what can be done when you know what the numbers are. It's kind of like working out, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard somebody say, don't close your eyes and don't hold your breath when you're working out? Because it internalizes it. It makes it more painful, right? And you work out. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, especially with, when I'm doing planks.
Yes. Yes. It just internalizes the pain. It's
Yeah.
the same thing when you close your eyes, when it's like you're running your business blind. And it's the same thing. You're internalizing the pain. You're making it more painful because you're not paying attention. So a lot of times it's just restructuring the thought process. Like, let's look at this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you have to, it's meeting people where they are, because everybody's in a different place. So it doesn't always look the same for everybody, but those are a lot of the things that I see often. So that's typically what I try, and it again, it's a process. You have to peel back the layers, see what's really going on, Sometimes it's those things we were told when we were kids. Who here has not heard money does not grow on trees?
I've definitely
Growing up
heard that.
all the time, there's not a money tree out in the backyard, you know? So you have to sometimes identify what those blocks are. Like, what are the voices in your head telling you? Who are those voices in your head?
Mm.
And how can you reframe that? Like, how can you prove those thoughts wrong in your business?
Yeah, that's incredibly important, and it's interesting that that's become a bit of a theme in a lot of the conversations that I've been having. Is a lot of those sort of learned thoughts and attitudes and mindsets that we've picked up as children are being carried
Yeah.
into our businesses, right? So we're
Yeah.
starting with that, whatever lessons we learned about money as a child, we're carrying that into our business and how we run that
Yeah.
business and the decisions that we make. And
Yeah.
oftentimes I think people are disconnected from the fact that that's actually running the show. um, and so they sometimes they're doing things because they're trying to prove whatever negative belief that they had
Yeah.
wrong, or they're trying to live up to some example or thing that was set for them as children,
Yep.
versus just
Yep.
making a decision that's based on what's best for the business and best for the
Yep.
clients that they're serving.
Yep. And that goes back to the emotions.
Hmm.
You can't run a business on emotions. You
Yeah.
just can't. It doesn't support you in growing your business. I mean, you can, but it's not going to get you very far. It's not going to get you where you want to go. And
Yeah.
the best way to get where you want to go is learning those hard numbers, learning the data, using the data, whether it's a profit and loss, whether it's looking at your marketing, whether no matter what it is, it's you
Yeah.
want to look at that data and use it and make informed decisions. And it's so often in our lives, it all goes back to how we were raised. It goes back to those, take those voices in your head, make them love you instead. That song there. know?
Oh, I've never heard that song, but I'll have to.
No. Oh,
No.
good. All right, who's that song? Who sings that? I want to say it's either Pink or Rihanna.
Okay.
One of them.
Well, if it's Rihanna, she's got the whole "bitch better have my money" thing. So I think that's a fitting theme too. So
Oh
yeah.
God. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, well, I mean, one of the other questions that I have was about how like self-love plays into the act of, achieving that success and incorporating that into the coaching that you do with your clients. Can you speak a little bit more about that?
So when I started out coaching, that was a
Mhm.
huge thing for me because I was a single mom of three girls, broke as broke can be. There
Yeah.
was no love anywhere whatsoever, like
Wow.
nothing. And I realized that that was my problem is I did not have that self-love. I was the type of person that it didn't matter if I didn't have my kids,
Mhm.
it didn't matter what time of day it was, who it was, that they called said, "Hey, you want to go do something?" Sure, because I was not comfortable in my own skin. I didn't like my own company. I
Mhm.
didn't like who I was. I none like when I started coaching. When I said something to my nephew, the little brat that he is, my adult nephew. He's like, "Why would anybody hire you?" And I'm like, "You little."
All right,
I'm like,
you're off the Christmas list.
okay. But it's because of who I was.
Mm,
And but really those experiences is what has made me as good as I am. It
yeah,
is what has made me be able to help others because I've been there. I've lived through the crap. I've dug myself out of the hole. And but that's where it all begins. It's with finding that being comfortable in who you are so you can have that confidence so that you can be confident enough to say, "Hey, I can do this."
yeah.
find that inner strength, that inner power in. It's not something that can happen overnight. It's something, it takes work. It takes a lot of hard work to do that. And it takes time. And I took that time. I did that work. And because of that, it makes me better at being able to do this. You know, that was, I remember the day I used to have to check my bank account every time I would go to the grocery store.
Mm.
I remember my mom tricking me. My mom was sick. She had cancer for many years. And
Sorry to hear that.
so she wanted me to take her shopping. I'm like, really? You have two other daughters who live, one lives with you, one lives within a mile of you, and you need me to come over and take you shopping. I wasn't happy. But as it turns out, she took my youngest daughter around the grocery store to pick out food for my house because my kids said there was no food in my house, because really there wasn't. There
Yeah.
was a lot of nights I had no clue what I was going to feed my children for dinner.
Yeah.
But because I've been there, I know what it's like. I know the experience and I know what's on the other side. And I know that oftentimes I'll never forget this one experience I had with my boss. My mentor, I worked for him for many years and I was late all the time. Again, raising my kids, running hectically, working two jobs, running a business of my own. And I'm late for work again, sitting at my desk, head down, bawling hysterically, like I was done, shot, done, put me away. And he says to me, he's like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I remember looking up at him and I'm being like, "What?" He's like, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" I'm like, "I don't even know what I'm going to feed my children for dinner.
Yeah.
And you want me to think?" I don't have that luxury of looking at and seeing where I want to be in 5 years. I didn't have that luxury. But what he gave me and what he did for me was so powerful, because we get stuck in this ball of suffering.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for us, it's different for everybody, but we get stuck there and we don't look up. And what he did is he gave me permission to look up and see past the
Mm.
struggle, past the suffering. What do I really want? What can I actually do? I'm going to tell you, that changed my life. That one conversation literally changed my life, because that's it. He gave me permission to look up and see
Yeah.
that there is more to life than just that day in, day out suffering crap where I was stuck. And that is what we need to do in our lives. We need to stop getting stuck. We have a choice. We're always getting thrown stuff at us. We're getting
Mhm.
struggles, challenges, everything thrown at us, right? But it's our decision whether we get stuck or we use that as a stepping stone.
Yeah, that is so incredibly powerful, and I love that your boss was able to do that for you, or your mentor was able to do that for you, because you're
Yeah.
right, we do get stuck in survival mode, and there's so many businesses, small businesses especially,
Yep.
and small, women-owned businesses that are stuck in that survival mode,
Yeah.
and him giving you that permission to look beyond your
Yeah.
current circumstances.
Yeah.
Right, that is
That,
such a gift, and I think, coming back to the self-love aspect of that often gets twisted up inside of being a business owner or an entrepreneur is that, we carry that deep shame of, "Well, I'm a business owner, I should know how to do all these things, I should have it figured out, I should be able to figure this out and,
right.
move ahead," and it's like, "Hey, what if you just loved yourself enough to both get rid of the shame,
Yes.
to develop a bigger why and see beyond that, but then also ask for help."
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of people, oftentimes when people come to me, the biggest thing I hear of why people don't get help sooner is because they're
Mhm.
embarrassed or
Yeah.
they're ashamed. Again, like you said, I'm a business owner. I should know this. I should be able to, whatever those stories are that we're telling ourselves, we get stuck there. So we don't ask for help. And my daughter's car, she had a bunch of stuff going on with her car,
Mhm.
and I throw hints out to her. Maybe you should get it looked at. Maybe you should get it looked at. well, something happened last night. And it's like, how often do we just let this stuff compound and it just, something small happens and you
Yeah.
ignore it, hoping it's going to go away? That's the problem. None of this stuff goes away. We
Nope.
have to reach out. We have to get support. And again, that's one of the biggest things I get is I was embarrassed. I'm
Yeah.
still embarrassed. So I like the fact that people are comfortable coming to me. Like I'm walking through a grocery store and somebody randomly starts talking to me. My kids or my boyfriend's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I want to do
I just
something
told you
different."
their whole life story though.
I get it all the time. And he's like, "Who's that?" I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just apparently there's something, I don't know, which is it's a good thing. But it's we all need that safe space. We
Yeah.
all need somebody who will support us, but we need to first be able to take that step and reach out. And I'm a firm believer surrounding ourselves with people that are smarter than us
Yes.
and use them, use their knowledge, borrow their knowledge. I think you talked about that at some point earlier, is borrowing the knowledge of the people around us, borrowing their
Mhm.
confidence. If you don't have the confidence yourself, borrow somebody else's for now. Let
Yeah.
them help build you up. But surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that can do the stuff, number one, you don't know how to do, you don't like to do, or you just don't plain want to do it. Have somebody else do it. So you can focus on what you want to do, what's important to you, whether it's building your business, whether it's spending time with your family instead of spending nights and weekends doing the grunt work. You
Yeah.
know, hire people, surround yourself with people that can do those things so you can do what you love.
Yeah. I mean, that's the entire premise of why I started this live stream. The whole concept is that we borrow from the wisdom and experience of other people who've been there and have done that. And you are someone who has literally gone down into. It's like that Carl Jung quote. I actually have it here, which says that a tree's branches cannot reach heaven if its roots have not reached hell. Right, and so it's like you've been there that
Yeah.
those steps. And so, yeah, it when you're talking to someone who has been in those similar circumstances, it normalizes the experience that you're going through, and it makes it easier
Right.
for them to open up and share with you like what they're dealing with, what they're afraid to confront, all the internal head trash that stops them from reaching out and asking for
Yeah.
help. So that's truly yeah, that's truly a remarkable gift that you're able
Yeah.
to give to the clients that you work with.
Well, I try. We are all a work in progress.
Yeah. Hey, listen, just the fact that you're trying, I mean, so many people don't try. I think it's important to note that. So definitely give yourself credit and give yourself flowers for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But, again, we're all a work in progress. No matter where you are, where do you see yourself? Like, what do you envision for your life? If you're in that struggle, if you aren't sure what's happening, how you're going to get there, figure out where you want to go. And here's the thing that I people always get caught up is how. How am I going to get there? So they quit.
Yeah.
Forget about the how. Take a minute and think about, where is it you want to be? What does your life look like? How does it feel? Who are you surrounding yourself? Really paint the big picture. Don't worry about how. The
Yeah.
how comes.
Yeah.
First, you got to figure out the what.
Yeah. Figure out the what and also figure out the who. Like who
Yeah.
do you want to be when you get there? Right.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a question of who do I need to become to be the person, right, to have that lifestyle that I'm dreaming of or that
Yes.
business that I'm dreaming of.
Exactly, exactly. And then when you get that picture, you can start working towards that.
Yeah.
And it's small steps. You can't climb a mountain. You look up, it's like you look up at the mountain, it's too big to climb. So you say, never mind. No, you climb it one step at a time, right?
Yeah. Or you're up there, you've been climbing the mountain, you just kind
Yeah.
of decided to on a whim, like, okay, I'm gonna go climb the mountain. And now you're stuck. And you're like,
Mm,
crap, how am I gonna get over to this other place? Or how am I going to get
yeah.
to this next, over this next ledge?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
So on another note, like what do you believe or what's your opinion of the things that anybody who is someone I'm going to attack it from two levels.
okay.
Anybody who's struggling right now in
Yep.
their business when it comes to bringing in the revenue that they want in terms of growing, what's the immediate next step thing that they can do for themselves to break out of that struggling level?
So I think the big thing, I think the first thing, and here again, this is what we've been talking about, is for
Mhm.
starters, you have to look up.
Yeah.
If you are stuck there, you are going to stay stuck there. You're going to be stuck there 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now. If all you're doing is focusing on the small picture, focusing on the where you put your focus is what you get, right?
Yeah.
The more you focus on it, the more it grows. So are you going to focus on that piece of struggle that you're stuck in? Or are you going to focus on the big picture?
Mm,
So I think one of the key things is we have to figure out, what does that really look like? What do we want? Who are we going to be? And that's what you start focusing on. And then you start taking those small steps. All it takes is one. It takes one step to get started.
yeah.
And take it one step at a time, whatever that looks like for you. Set that goal. So you have a big goal, right? You have that big vision. You're starting to see, you're starting to picture it, right?
Hmm.
Okay. What is one thing you can do today? That one step you can do right now, today, to get to that level. Is it going to happen overnight? No, nothing happens overnight. Nobody is an overnight success.
No, it takes 10 years to be an overnight success.
Yeah, yes, 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 it does. So take it one step at a time, climb the mountain one step at a time, and that's how you're going to get there. No matter how much you try and cheat and take those leaps, it all starts with one step.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's picking up the phone and asking for help. I don't care if it is just making a decision.
Hmm.
How many of us struggle with decisions? Sometimes that's all you need, is to make a good, solid decision and say, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So whatever that looks like, is take that first step.
Yeah. I think there's a point that every person needs to get to where they just decide that
Yeah.
they don't want their current circumstances to be their future circumstances. Like,
Yes.
I'm done with this. I'm done with how I feel in this moment. I'm done with these circumstances, the way things look. I'm going to do something different.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool. And then in terms of getting a clear picture of their financial, like what their financial world looks like,
Yep.
because if they're going to come and work with you, right, that's something that they're going to need to pull up or at least have access to. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. So as far as like getting it all in one place, what do
Mhm.
we like?
Yeah.
So
Like, what do you recommend? Like, are there
okay.
different tools, softwares, worksheets? Like, what is it that somebody needs to do to be able to pull in all the pieces of their financial picture so that they can say, here's what I got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's where I want to
So
go.
yeah, sometimes that's a struggle, but here's the key to that, is having it all in one place, whether it's an Excel spreadsheet, whether it's a Google Doc, whether it's a platform like QuickBooks.
Mhm.
Um, you got to have one place to have everything, because most of us in business, we may have multiple streams of revenue. We may
Yeah,
have it coming from different places, like you get checks, you get paid through Square or Stripe or Venmo, right?
yeah.
So if you want to look something up, you have to look at all of these different places. So the first key is getting it all in one place, whatever that looks like. So, and then, I mean, that's the first step, really, is you got to have it all in one place. And then from there, you can start looking at the different streams of revenue. Which ones are making you money?
Mhm.
Which ones are costing you money? Because who here knows what their costs are in their business? Who knows what their costs are of their services?
Yeah.
So those are all things that you can start to work on. But first, you have to know where the beginning point is. You
Yeah.
have to know where the money is coming from. You have to know where the money is going. And the only way you're going to do that and do it easily and have it readily available is have it in one place. So, like, I mean, I have a Google Doc that you can lay out all your income, you lay out all your expenses, you can pull them from your bank statement, is typically the first place. You gather all your bank statements,
Okay.
you start laying it all out. That's the first place to start, no matter what that looks like. Like I said, it could be Excel, could be Google Doc, could be QuickBooks, could be Wave, it could be, I mean, there's
Do
all
you
sorts of
do you
different
have
things
a
out there.
preference, like, for the clients that you work with? Do you have a preference?
So here's the thing, if you're just getting started, all right, you want to look at how much money you're making, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to spend money you don't have. So
Yeah.
if you're just getting started and you're just working through getting things in line, trying to get them in order, which is better to do in the beginning than to play catch up, because it never saves you money playing catch up. It only costs you more. So get started
Yeah.
right in the beginning, right? So I highly recommend, if you're just getting started, do something in Excel. It's free, or
Okay.
Google Docs. It's free. Now, when you start making some money and you start getting somewhere, you have some capital, you have a profit, then invest in something like QuickBooks. I prefer QuickBooks because, QuickBooks brings your bank accounts in, and then you just have to match things up, and it's easy. It does a lot of the work for you, right? With Excel, Google, you have to enter the information. With QuickBooks, a lot of it's done for you. So you have to want to be making money before you do that. But the other piece to this is you also want to look at your time, because time is money.
Yes.
So if you're spending hours on doing your Excel spreadsheet, it may be time to invest in QuickBooks, because
Yeah.
time is money. If you're wasting time on that, you're wasting money.
Yeah, it is definitely, because I know I well, I hated it a while back when I was just mainly focused on sort of the creative consulting services that I was doing at the time. Now that I've gotten over onto this business consulting side, I'm able to look at numbers a lot differently, in terms
Mhm.
of, okay, these are the numbers, but there's a story that I can tell with these numbers, and it's an indication of where things are going and the progress that I'm making towards the goal and the picture that I have for myself. And
Yes.
so I think an important shift that people need to be able to make for themselves. But
Yeah.
I love that you separated it out in terms of, hey, if you're not making a lot of money right now, focus on the free tools. Don't get caught up
Yes.
in all the paid tools and apps and all those things that are available. Like, yes, they're great. Yes, they're fun,
Yeah.
at some point. But again, taking the emotion out of it, taking all of that, what's the best decision for where you are right now?
Exactly. Exactly. Where are you in your business? Because we are all in different stages. So you don't want to spend the money for somebody who's making 50 to $100,000, or you want to spend the money for somebody who's just getting started.
Yeah.
And the more affordable something is, the easier you make it on yourself, the more likely it is that you're going to get started.
Yeah.
I highly recommend you start off right from the beginning. And I highly recommend you take time out of your week. Take an hour a week. And for this very reason, because that's where people really struggle. And that's where it becomes overwhelming. And that's where people say they don't like it,
Hmm.
is when they're overwhelmed because they've let something build up, just like car issues. You let it build up thinking it's going to go away or fix itself. It's not going to. So you need to put in the work and the effort yourself, or when you get making enough money, hire someone else to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, but you at least gotta have that foundation in it. And I was just thinking about, earlier when you started the call, you were talking about how you didn't like math in school, right? And I'm just thinking about my nieces, now, and just like a lot of the messages that women have gotten about math, like we've been taught that, or that sort of idea that women aren't good at math or they don't like math, when really it's like, well, maybe you just had a shitty teacher, you know, or maybe it was just the wrong type of math. Maybe it was like the
Yeah.
math that's being used just wasn't relevant, wasn't interesting, didn't allow you to tell a story that was relevant to where you wanted to go. And so I think that plays a big part into it as well. Just sort of those like messages that we just get growing up about, certain
Right.
things. Yeah.
Right. Right. I'm
Yeah.
not good at math. I can't do this. There's a difference. There's math, there's algebra, there's long division, and then there's accounting. A lot of it is done for you.
Yeah.
You're not adding this stuff up. You're putting it in a spreadsheet and you're auto summing it. You're not doing that yourself. Or you put it in QuickBooks and it's all done for you. So I think it's those, we make up these stories in our head that are not true. And we get stuck on those stories. So we do nothing. We get stuck on the how. So we don't do it at all.
Yeah. And then now, 20, 30 years later, your business isn't where you want it to be because of a story that you made up or that you
Yeah.
took on from high school or from grade school.
Yep. 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 So we have to reframe those stories
Yeah.
so that instead of working against us, they work for us.
Yeah. Exactly. Awesome. Well, so do you have any resources that you can share with the audience today? Anything?
Um,
Go ahead.
sure. I have tons of resources. Okay, so here's where here's what I'll give you guys. If I have, we are at, well, we're past year end, but people are getting ready for their taxes. They may not know where to begin. So why don't will it show up if I put a link in our chat here, or
I think that'll
would,
come directly to me, but what I can do is I can take that link and share it in both the show notes and the comments once this goes
okay.
live.
Yeah, let me put this. Bear with me 1 second here. I thought
Yeah.
I had it saved, but apparently I did not. So, and I think this is a good place to start, because this is going to tell you what you need to pull together
Mm,
for your taxes, but this is the stuff you're going to be looking at on a regular basis. This is what you should be looking at on a monthly basis. So that way you don't get to the end of the year, have a box of receipts and hand it to your accountant and say, here you go.
yeah.
And this is the perfect time of year to have this. Let's see. Okay. There's my year-end checklist
Okay.
for
Awesome.
everybody.
All right. So I will make sure that that gets blasted out to everyone, and everyone has access to it.
And I'll
'Cause-
tell you what I'll do is, so the first 5 people that
Mhm.
get the year-end checklist from your show, what I'll do is I will offer them free access to my small business vault, my small business success vault.
Oh,
And
nice.
in there is a Google Doc that you can track your income, track your expenses. There is a spreadsheet for a balance sheet. There's spreadsheets for budgeting, for cash flow, for 50 write-offs you can have. Like, I'm going to say there's about 20 to 25 resources in that success vault. So the first
Wow.
5 people from your show that go in and get the year-end checklist, I will give them access to that success vault.
Wow, that is incredibly generous. And anybody who's watching this, especially the first 5 people, you have no excuse. No excuse. And you've been with us for the last 45 minutes. You know that there's no shame, there's no fear to be had in reaching out for help. And so as we wrap up, LeaAnn, I just want to ask one last question. What is one
Okay.
piece of wisdom that you would like to share with anybody that's watching right now?
So I think with everything we've talked about, my one piece of wisdom is to stop waiting. Stop waiting to ask for help. Stop waiting to look at the bigger picture. Just get started. We all have to get started somewhere. You got started in your business.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, now make that decision. You made a decision to get started then, make that decision to go to the next level. Make that decision to do the things you have to do to grow your business, whatever that is for you. Wherever you are right now, just get started to work to that next step, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah.
We all have to get started somewhere. So that is my last parting advice, is just to get started. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just start doing it. Isn't it Nike? Just do it.
Yeah, Nike.
Just start. We all have to get started.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's my parting wisdom.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, LeaAnn, for being here today. Appreciate everything that you shared about your experiences, the work that you're doing, how you help the clients that you work with, and just giving us all permission to stop waiting, to get started, and to look up. And so I am looking forward to seeing everybody next week on the next edition of Wednesday Wisdom. Take care and have a great day.
Thank you. Have a great day.